Hello, everyone, and welcome, or well, you could say welcome back to the podcast formerly known as the Dropping the Hammer Racing Hour. However, this is something new and something different. My name's Alex Gray. I'm also known as Gray Speed Productions on YouTube, alongside with Michael Klein. And instead of just talking about straight up NASCAR news, a lot of people do that, right? Well, we want to showcase the theme of Speed Reign Supreme, being able to talk to people and showcase why racing is so fun and special and why it's something for everyone and anyone. So, with that being said, welcome to Speed Reign Supreme. This is going to be like kind of like an episode 0. Think of it like, when you were in school and you had the first day of classes where you get that syllabus, you go over everything, what the class is and all that fun stuff. Kind of like that. This episode will most likely be on my channel Gray Speed, as well as Michael's channel. We'll discuss that later on. But we will have a separate channel for this podcast very soon, so stay tuned for that. We do have a lot of guests coming in the near future too, but we do have a guest today. Today we have ARCA Menards Series driver and co-owner of the number 31 Rise Motorsports machine, Tim Goulet, joining us. Tim, first of all, thanks for joining us, man.
Oh, thank you very much for having me.
Yeah,
it's great to have you on. You and Rita have done so much for me, so it's always a pleasure to talk to you guys, and it's a pleasure to bring you guys on here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, certainly. Tim, just to start you off, what first got you into racing overall?
Well, that's a really good question. I'm glad you asked that. So when I was young, my uncle started showing me replays and videos of Richard Petty. And so I grew up a big fan of Richard Petty, but that's just like the start of it, really. So a lot of it was just watching this stuff on TV. And so I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, we have the Milwaukee Mile. And the Busch Series and the Truck Series used to come there. So I would, as a fan, go watch the Busch cars and the trucks, and I said, hey, that's really, really cool. I want to do that. And so it was just something at the moment that was like, all right, okay. It kind of like a fantasy, kind of like, okay, well, yeah, hey, that's all cool and great. And then one day, I had a friend of mine who worked for Bobby Daughter, and I found out about it and said, oh, okay, so now all of a sudden this is like a little more real. And so I started looking into that and kind of like found some teams that needed help, kind of like Michael Klein does, and kind of worked my way in that way. And, been doing it ever since. And I couldn't think of anything else I'd rather do.
Well, that's really cool. So you actually knew a friend of Bobby Daughter's?
Yep.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Obviously, that's a long-time respectable name in the sport, of course, through his racing and, of course, his ownership later on.
Yep, absolutely.
Michael, if you have a question, you can go and ask one.
I don't really think I have any questions, but for people who may not know,
people should have a million questions, Michael.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true, but some of those questions I don't know if I should be putting on air. So,
well, that's fair.
Well, yeah, you have a lot to learn. You really have a lot to learn, so you should ask some questions. Isn't that kind of the nature of your job and what you're doing right now? It's very popular. I thought you'd have a whole list. I thought you would be staying up all night with the list. I'm so disappointed. And I gave you a second opportunity because I rescheduled.
I apologize for my transgressions. I do want to ask, just kind of, I know a lot of people know the Rise Motorsports team. They know that 31 car that goes out on track every week. What kind of led to the beginning of that?
What kind of led to that?
Yeah, what led to the beginning of Rise Motorsports?
Well, it started with a car. There was a race car, and then we got 4 tires, and then no, I'm kidding. So interestingly enough, I had started my own ARCA deal while I was working for Carl Long, and Carl Long honestly threatened to fire me if I ran my own ARCA team while I was working for him. Little did I know, because I thought he was just being a jerk at the time. And I thought I could do both at once. And I did not at the time, I don't know if I ever will, but have Carl's knowledge. And so Carl had the knowledge that I didn't have, and understanding and knowing that I couldn't do both at once. So the whole ARCA deal got put on hold. And well, I had met Rita at Phoenix Raceway, and it was something she wanted to do too as well. I didn't think anything of it, and a few races later, we're like, all right, hey, you know what? We're gonna do this. And I found a good opportunity to do it. It was, right time, right, place, and good timing. So then we started looking at some of the things like, okay, how do we want Rise Motorsports to look? And so first and foremost, we started with a brand, and because it's way easier to promote yourself once you have a brand. And so we were like, what does your brand look like? So we kind of went from there and kind of went from, hey, why we are who we are. And so honestly, we're, as people and as human beings, we make mistakes and we rise and we fall. And I wanted to be kind of a lesson and inspire other people in the future that, hey, we all rise up from our challenges. We all rise up from, our things that happen in life. So we want to inspire other people to do the same thing. To always, if you have a bad day, if you have, a rough anything, hey, be inspired to rise up from it. So that's kind of really, how it started. And so since then, we made it grow with a lot of hard work. We always talk about how you can't replace hard work. And so bit by bit, we started getting all the right people, all the right pieces. I think the biggest part of our growing success is just people. You can't put a price on people. And I don't think any business can be successful without putting people first. So.
Exactly. And, I think we've definitely seen you guys rise to that, because obviously I know with the new team that creates several new challenges, and now your team already has several top 10s in the ARCA Menards Series. And so that's pretty astounding for a team that just started less than 2 years ago to be already at that level.
We have a long ways to go, and we still have our challenges. We still have our failures, but that's part of being any new business and any new race team. And each weekend is an opportunity to grow. So that's why I said initially in the beginning of the podcast, every single time I go to the track, it's my first time, because you don't know what new challenges you're going to have that weekend. You don't know what unique things are going to happen. And it's a opportunity every single weekend to learn how to adapt and overcome any challenges you may have. And every weekend is a new weekend to learn. So that's why I put it the way I do. So don't mistake anything. Don't look at success or any limited success as not having failures, because that's far from the truth. I think that we learn so much more from having failures and having grown from that. And I think that's like why I honestly want to say having failures and learning from them is why we, grow to be successful.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. I love the idea of having some sort of brand around your race team. I think that's really important, especially in this day and age, because they always talk about like having a brand, what do you represent and everything else. And I think that's a really good brand to have for Rise Motorsports.
So to kind of build on that a little more, I love our sport. I love racing. I love NASCAR. So I want to build the future of it. So, building the future of our sport means, teaching people to rise up from that. And so all of our people who are going to be in NASCAR and all of our students, and, it's all like, NASCAR is a lot more challenging than people understand. It's a lot of rough days, a lot of being on the road. So overcoming those right from the get-go and getting that mentality right from the get-go will set anybody up for success in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think all those hours on the road, absolutely worth it. Being able to kind of go out there and go to these different places too and meeting all kinds of different people. And, of course, like for example, Michael and I went down to Daytona, getting to experience what it's like to be around there, being down there. And what was cool about Daytona this year, and kind of tying, of course, into ARCA, ARCA actually had the most entries in quite some time.
Yes,
And
he did.
yeah, and I know obviously you guys didn't make it, but still to be part of that, and obviously, in my opinion, it's one step at a time. And it's, like you said, being able to go to a track and it's an entire new experience every single time. And I think that's a really good mentality to put it. And I have to also ask, when you look at something like ARCA, which is now part of NASCAR, in a way it always kind of has been. A lot of drivers have come and gone through there over the years. What makes ARCA so unique and what makes it stand out?
That's a really awesome question, actually. What makes ARCA so unique is it's the foundation of especially now it's the foundation of NASCAR. And if you look at everybody who can, grow or rise up from the ground up being an ARCA, it's where everything really starts now. So when you have, like, I have my UNOH students who are hopefully someday going to be Cup Series champions someday, and we're hopefully going to be, wherever they want to choose to be in motorsports. It's starting right here, right now. You go to grassroots racing, it's awesome, but the first step to like real professional NASCAR, that kind of deal, it starts right here in ARCA. And so that's why we have such a unique opportunity. We have such unique opportunities that we're very fortunate to be able to grow and, teach these students and teach these kids who have their dreams of moving on up in a sport. And we get to be the start of all of that. And that's what makes ARCA unique, that you're not going to get anywhere else. People don't think about everything that there's so much focus on drivers and teams in ARCA that there a lot of what I feel personally gets lost in this series when people pay attention to the series, and is all the people working, all the crew members working to build themselves up and build a name for themselves and get those connections and learn to build a future in their sport and build a future for themselves, and starting to learn how to be a professional crew member all starts right there.
Yeah, as a former UNOH race member student, it was a great program, and I love what they do with that. Just giving these students the opportunity to get the hands-on learning within the series is just so incredible.
I think that, so the biggest thing, in my opinion, that we need to work on right now, especially with UNOH, is bringing that attention to everyone in the stands. Because just like for me, going in Milwaukee Mile and watching races, I had no clue that there is such an easy opportunity to get into sport. Really, I wish we would create more awareness for UNOH and even I'll go as far as saying NTI, because people don't understand how easy it really is to get into sport. Like, you can achieve your dream by doing this, by joining these programs and getting your start. And I think that information needs to be more readily available, and more, those people and those kids sitting in the stands and watching on TV need to see and understand that, hey, this is a real obtainable thing. You can, if you want to do this, hey, let's go. If you want to be an ARCA, if you want to be a crew member, you want to be a part of Rise Motorsports, hey, let's go. Your opportunity is here. It's there.
Yeah, absolutely. And after being around the ARCA garage area and ARCA pit stall, it is awesome to see so many people getting these kinds of opportunities where, you start with a team in ARCA and, 5-6 years later, you could be winning the Cup Series championship. And again, like you said, it all starts in a place like ARCA. And I think what's cool about ARCA too is, you mentioned the grassroots racing. It's being able to have these kinds of grassroots racers and people from different kinds of backgrounds coming to race on a national scale, on a national level. You know, you're racing on some short tracks, like you're going to Salem, like Elko, IRP, Berlin, but you're also going to places like Charlotte, Mid Ohio, Kansas, Michigan, and of course Daytona and Talladega and places like that. And I think that's what's kind of cool about ARCA. It's a mixture kind of everything and getting started at the same time.
Yep. And you're absolutely right. So while the foundation is built in these short tracks, these NASCAR regional short tracks, which are super critically important, it's also important for everybody working hard to achieve their dreams to see the bigger track too, and see like the bigger NASCAR tracks that they're striving for and they're reaching for. So at the end of the day, there's kind of a little carrot there, and something that, hey, you be with the big boys there. I want to be with the top teams there, and that's where we want to be.
Yeah, I mean, this is where it all starts for some of these people, is right here in ARCA. So I think you're definitely in the great spot to do that, and I definitely look forward to seeing how Rise grows.
Yeah, and it's really exciting to get to see this team grow. And of course, you guys have been running a lot more races this year. Kind of tell us about how 2024 has gone and what's up ahead as well.
So I'm really glad you brought up Daytona. Daytona was absolutely. I'm not gonna lie, it sucked, but we absolutely learned from it. And here's the thing: you can't learn if you're not there to learn.
Yeah.
So everywhere that we go, whether we have a shot or not or anything, it's always a unique opportunity to be able to learn. And just like so one of the reasons why we come out west. So we literally just showed up at Tri-City Raceway now for the ARCA West Series. People kind of look at us like, hey, we're crazy for going all the way out here for the West Series, but it's an opportunity to build a notebook, be able to grow our brand and show like sponsors and people that, hey, we can take everything from Daytona all the way to Washington. We can take your brand all the way from Daytona to Washington. If you want to, as a crew member, if you want to learn, what better place is there to learn than a team that's always there and that's everywhere. So I think that's why that's really, really important. So, and that's why we're doing what we're doing this year. So we're doing all the races to really get our brand out and build on next season and build on our future. And next year, who knows what the cards hold, but I know it's going to be definitely like much more exciting.
Absolutely. And I understand this is a pretty exciting weekend coming up here. It was just announced Greg Biffle's running, so I think that's definitely going to bring in some fans for that. But, obviously, is there any sponsors or anyone else you want to give a shout out to here for this?
So actually, I want to say something about being out here. So very oftentimes, if you like listen to the podcast that I'm in, if you listen to the social media stuff I do, I always talk about our teams and our series and whatnot and our competitors. I always say, and I'll preach it every week, support our series, support our fellow teams, support our competitors, support our rivals, the people that we might not get along with, because we all need each other. We all need each other for this sport. If we don't have anybody race against, we don't have a series to race in. If we don't support the series, we don't have somebody to support us and help us grow a series. So as being at Tri-City Raceway this weekend, I really wanted to bring that up and mention that. And I'm actually going to start pushing on social media a bit too. So the one thing that gets missed is all these different tracks. So if you look at Tri-City Raceway has shut down for like 20 years, man. It was a ghost track for 20 years. And now this racetrack is making its comeback. And hey, let's make sure that we get on Flow Racing this weekend and we watch the race. If you're in the Washington area, come out to the track and support the track. Support these tracks that are supporting us, because, we live in an age where so many tracks are getting shut down that it's even more important to support the tracks who are trying to make a comeback and be here for us. Let's be there for them as well, as fans, as drivers, as team. So let's give a shout out to Tri-City Raceway for putting on a show this weekend and being there for ARCA and being there for us, and kudos for ARCA for choosing to come out here and support a track that's out here by bringing their show here.
Absolutely.
You said 20 years?
Yeah.
Yep, 20 years, man. Man, this track was shut down for like 20 years.
Wow.
And I'm gonna start calling it the West Coast North Wilkesboro.
It almost feels like that, yeah. And
So,
that's
so, so
good.
a little more on that. So the city actually tried to buy the track and completely tear it down. And you know how that goes if you pay attention to any short track racing. It never ends well. It ends up with, hey, okay, hey, the track's sitting here, it's not being used. All right, hey, sell it and make some money is usually what happens. And so the owner of the track or the group or whoever it is, I didn't pay much attention. Um, the city actually went to the owner and tried to buy it, and the owner said, no, we're not selling it. So we very easily could have lost the track here. And
Mhm.
while it sat for 20 years, now finally they said, hey, we're going to make something happen here. And I'm really grateful that they decided to make it happen. So they were on the brink of like being done. So what they wanted to do is they wanted to buy this track, completely tear down the track and build a brand new police department here. And I wish they could have done that too. And especially, with our background and support the police. And, we're still very fortunate that the police department is like right next door here and still kind of on the property. So we kind of got the best of both worlds here. We have a wonderful police department here to serve the community, and we have a really awesome racetrack here that now we all get to enjoy. So let's keep enjoying that, and let's keep supporting the track because they are making a comeback, and a lot of tracks nowadays don't get that second chance. So if you don't have a lot of information on it, you haven't looked it up, go look it up and go look up the history, and you'll be very surprised that this racetrack just achieved what a lot of racetracks don't get to achieve, is making a comeback.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, I love stories like that, and I think tracks like that also brings in like a sense of community. It brings people together, and again, that's such a terrific story to hear. I did not know that about Tri City Raceway. It reminds me of course, North Wilkesboro's been a big one recently. You could say
Yep.
Nashville Super Speedway sat there for 10 years. It came back a few years ago. Gateway in St. Louis almost met a wrecking ball. And then Curtis Francois came in, bought it, and now it's hosting the Cup Series. So, it's good to see tracks like that, especially in this day and age where they feel a little more fragile than ever before. It's a really good story to hear places like that because, again, history. There's a lot of history at tracks, even like Tri City, where you may not even know who may have raced there in the past. Drivers get their start on tracks like that.
That's right. That's right. And hey, that was actually what the big deal is about bringing Greg Biffle back here. Greg Biffle dominated this place, and so that's why it's such a big deal. It really is a big deal. We in our sport we get lost looking at drivers as, hey, we're all doing a job, and you kind of get numb to it, and you get used to it, and you're like, okay, all right, whatever. It's just another driver, but the fact that Greg coming back here to a place that he once dominated and supporting the track that he once dominated and supporting a series that needs the support as well. If you really, really look at it, instead of looking at it like, okay, yeah, whatever, it's Greg, and Greg's a cool guy, look at it, hey, he's doing a wonderful thing as well by supporting a track that's working to make a comeback, supporting an ARCA series that, we want all the help and support that we can get.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think it just comes to show how much of a fan-driven sport racing really is, no matter where you are. It could be, down towards the southeast, it could be down the south towards Texas, or out to the west coast, or everywhere in between. It is a fan-driven sport.
That's right. So if you guys do anything for me, go out there. Go on your social media, go on, your whatever, and share the heck out of this track. Like give this track all the attention it needs because it's one more track trying to make a comeback here, and let's support our track. I have so many tracks that I'm like, man, I really miss that track, Manitowoc Speedway in Wisconsin. Just one of the numerous tracks in Wisconsin that we've lost, and so don't let this be another one. Go out there this week, and promote the heck out of this track on social media. At least do that for us. Do that for the future of our sport.
Yeah, you heard it here, guys. Definitely go on social media, promote this track. If you're in the area, go check out the races there because you never know when these tracks may be gone. So it's definitely, you definitely want to go out there and support these tracks when you can.
Yeah, certainly. Last year the two of us had a bit of a scare with Lawrenceburg Speedway in Lawrenceburg, Indiana. It's a fast dirt track with a lot of history there. Of course, USAC and World of Outlaws have raced there in the past, and the track promoters were retiring, so we had the worry of are there. We went to the last event of last year because we didn't know are they gonna get new promoters? What's gonna happen? Luckily, they got new promoters and they're still racing there today. But again, like you said, you never know what's going to happen next. So I think it's important to promote these kinds of tracks and say like, hey, check this out. There's so much to offer here.
Agreed.
Yeah. I think when you go to a race or you're at a racetrack, it's a great place to create memories that last a lifetime. I can think of countless memories over the years growing up. Like for me, for instance, going out to Kentucky Speedway, I had a lot of memories there. I saw David Gillen shocking the world in '06, Dario's flip in '07, of course, all the cup races there. And I want to ask, what is some of your best racing memories throughout, not just your career, but even throughout your life in general?
So some of my best racing memories. It's actually really funny that you bring that up today.
Uh-huh.
So we today just were out doing some video stuff, and it's just what team do for content and stuff. So it was a lot of laughing, a lot of like fun, a lot of like uh 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 a lot of some going oh crap and then laughing about it after.
Mm-hmm.
So and this is during our journey. So sometimes people only think about that track. They don't think about, hey, the journey to the track or whatever it may be related. Maybe it's shop stuff. Maybe it's like, hey, somebody you met. And so there's so many memories created with being in a sport. And so uh, being on the road as much as we are sucks. It's not easy, but there's a lot of good memories that come from it. A lot of laughs, a lot of like what's really awesome is creating those stories, whether it's like funny or like, oh crap, and creating those moments where later on you go, hey, remember when? There's so many memories like that involved in racing. Like racing isn't easy. Racing isn't for everyone, especially if you work in the industry, especially if you work on the cars or do any part of it. Whether you're doing PR, whether you're doing, all those important jobs in our sport, all those little jobs, whether you're the person who like cleans up the racetrack and, there everyone's super important and everyone has their part of it and their story. And, later on you want to be able to like create those memories. And so it's hard to pinpoint one single favorite memory because there's a ton, man. There's so many that are equally, a lot of them involved like, hey, our time on the road, and there's so many memories that come from racing that it's hard to like pinpoint one.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel too. It's like everyone asks, "What's your favorite racing memory?" And honestly, now I think it's probably a little bit easier. I can say it was testing for you guys at Hickory. That was a truly incredible experience. But looking back on it as a fan, it's like I don't think I can really pinpoint one great memory that sticks out above the rest because there's just so many of them.
Yeah, exactly. I've been following racing since 2004 when I was 7 years old, and growing up over the years, yeah, I mean, it's hard to pinpoint. I mean, there's so many you end up just start naming off. Like, yeah, I remember seeing this. I remember, witnessing that. I remember meeting this individual. And you just keep going on and on. In the later years, I had my first media credential opportunities at the races at Kentucky Speedway, and it was really cool getting to meet all kinds of different people and just getting that kind of experience and going, wow, look at all these people that I've seen on TV or seen on social media. Now I am in the same presence as them. And then Daytona last year, the first time I ever went, I was truly blown away with just how big that entire week is, and how big that entire thing is, and just being down there and being on pit road for the ARCA race too is just amazing.
You know, we go to a lot of different tracks, and you know, obviously they all blend in together. And when you've been in a sport as long as I have, you're kind of like, okay, whatever, you know, this is just another racetrack, or hey, we've been here 1,000 times. You know, honestly, Daytona is one of those places that never gets old. Never. I don't know. There's just something different about going into Daytona. Like, there's a few tracks that I walk into, and I'm like, okay, it's cool, you know, and I don't want to name them because it's, you know, hey, we always want to bring a positive light to the sport. And, you know, everybody's got their own track, and that's cool. You know, some people like a road course more. Some people like a super speedway more. You know, some people like a short track more. Some people like intermediate. You know, and that's the great thing about our sport, and especially in ARCA, if you look at it, like how much of a variety it provides, man.
Yeah, that's kind of something I really enjoy about NASCAR and ARCA overall. Is just the diversity and having this diverse schedule of, you know, you're going to this big 2.5 mile super speedway, then you're going to this half-mile short track, then you're going to this winding road course, and you're going everywhere else in between. And I think that's really what makes it all fun and makes it so fun and unique.
I think it's great for a crew member. I think it's really good to like give these crew members like a huge variety, because, you know, some of these crew members, like maybe they've only been around pavement races their entire life. And maybe they go to like DuQuoin or Springfield in an ARCA race and go, man, this dirt stuff is actually really, really awesome. And then they venture off into the dirt world. But by the way, my heart's, you know, in dirt. I love dirt. Did dirt late models before NASCAR. That, you know, if I could say like where my heart is, my hearts are in NASCAR trucks and also dirt. So, you know, when the trucks race on dirt, then I get the combination of both, you know. So that's what's really, really awesome about ARCA being so unique in that aspect, is it gives these young guys a taste of everything. You know, some of these guys, maybe they've been, you know, around only a short track their entire life, or maybe even just a dirt track their entire life. And then you show them a road course, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, they fall in love with road courses. So the really awesome thing for ARCA is it has something for everyone.
Absolutely, it really does have something for everyone. I will just go ahead and give you a heads up. Got about 3.5 minutes to go, and unfortunately, Michael's computer crashed out. So,
Okay.
yeah, had some technical difficulties, but no worries here. I'll go ahead and quickly wrap things up. Any final thoughts, Tim?
No, I think I'm good. But, you know, I'll in closing say, you know, just, hey, go support your local short track. You know, go, you know, like I said before, get on social media and support the hell out of this track. And then what we have next, I think, is Michigan. After we leave here, go support the hell out of Michigan.
Absolutely, I agree 100%. Well, this will do it for, I would say, episode 0 of Speed Reign Supreme. Tim, thank you so much for joining us, and best of luck to you and Rise Motorsports this weekend and the rest of the season.
All right, thank you very much, and thanks for having me, man.
Absolutely. Take it easy, sir.
Yep.
And that will do it, ladies and gentlemen, for episode 0 of Speed Reign Supreme. Michael, unfortunately, had his computer crash out, but we will be back soon. Next time, we'll be talking to Presley Sora. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and listening to us. You can check us out very soon on our own YouTube channel, and we'll be sure to get it out on other platforms as well. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to Speed Reign Supreme. On behalf of Michael Klein and myself, Alex Gray, we'll see you next time.